down.
Sorry.
Josh.
This must be my presentation.
And then yep.
I tried him not to ask that
Once Jackie had seen it, she couldn't unsee it.
Shall we take this one? Yeah, what's the
you did ask, but I don't know. And then they'll come
Okay, everyone, we might move on to the next topic, which is assessment. Probably not quite the right wording for this type of assessment. So it's quality control continuing assessment policy that New South Wales Swimming Board approved in May. So it's more of a educational training development type assessment rather than the formal national officiating program. So previously we had an assessment panel, had 8 members back then, and included, or was supposed to include, 2 representatives from the Technical Open Water Swimming Committee. There was a chair that reported, and there was a chair, and that assessment panel reported to the TSC. And I think, John, you were the last chair of that assessment panel or committee. And it was still, though, a competency-based assessment. So if you're a level 2 referee or starter, you were assessed, but the assessment form didn't change from when you first got your referee or starter's assessment. The assessments were regular, and for a number of reasons, the assessments and the assessment panel ceased in about 2010 or 11 or something around there, and it hasn't been revisited since. A number of reasons, I think, for the assessment stopping was it was too regular. You were sort of getting assessed every meet. And the assessment form really wasn't a training assessment form. It was, you're competent, you're not competent. Assessment is important, or appraisal system is important, to ensure that we're performing well, that there's best practice, that there's consistency in how we look on pool deck, how we move on pool deck, how we enforce the rules. It can be used, if it's used correctly, as training and development, and as a mentoring tool as well. So it does have its place. It's just trying to find the right assessment tool. So the TSC decided to reintroduce assessments. It's not really going back to the future because the landscape has changed. There's no longer a technical open water swimming committee, for example. There's just the one technical swimming committee. So the landscape's changed a bit, and we tried to learn from the history about not assessing too often, and it's not a competency-based assessment. You're not going to fail. So it's a quality control. An appraisal is probably a better word than assessment. There's no assessment panel this time. As the TSC believe we've got a huge pool of really experienced people we can rely on. So we've got TSC members, there's a lot of mentors and assessors out there, and a lot of very experienced officials we can call on to help us with this assessment process. Who are we sort of concentrating on? Well, it's current level 2 referees, level 2 starters, and we've also opened it up to other officials like judges strokes and perhaps IOTs, but for the moment we're just concentrating on our referees and starters. It's to mentor, to coach and to train, not to fail you. You've already got your credential, it's to help you build on that for the future. Because you might have a pathway to level 3 and this sort of ongoing assessment, while it won't be every meet, it might be every year or two, will help you on that pathway. We've decided not to assess current level 3 referees and starters, as my understanding is I think they've had enough assessments at Australian meets, they get assessed regularly there, so there was probably no need for us to concentrate on the level 3 referees and starters. So as I said, the next question was, well, we want to provide this assessment opportunity, this continuing assessment opportunity. How do we do it? And as you know, this is the current assessment tool used for referees, and it's basically a tick box, yes, they're competent, and no, you're not. So we had a look at other sports. This is a rugby league referees, page 1. The main areas of performance are here, and they're a drop-down box. So the referee's performance on, say, penalties was either good, bad, needs improvement. So it was a drop-down box. But there's a couple of key areas in this: positioning, control, appearance, that we thought we might be able to use in ours going forward. Again, the same assessment for rugby league referee. So every time the referee makes a decision, it's recorded, what the type of decision was and whether the assessor or coach, as they're called in some sports, agreed with it or not. And any sort of big rulings regarding send-offs or whatever, sin bins. And then it's sort of got here the strengths of the referee's performance and any coaching advice given, so any areas that may need improvement. So we sort of came up with this form where it's not tick box. If you can't blow your whistle now, you're probably never going to be able to blow your whistle properly. So some of the things that are in the NOAP one aren't replicated here, and we've had some feedback on these forms, so they may change a little bit. But we heard this morning of the importance, and this is the referee one. So there's one for referee, one for starter, similar format, sort of the key tasks here, and then a place for comment. So we heard today the importance of liaising with the starter, so obviously that's there. Liaising with other officials, your positioning and adherence to New South Wales protocols. So there's a lot more on the next page, and space for the assessor or the coach or whatever you want to call that person to make further comment. Also quite a bit of room to list the referee or starters or officials' strengths and areas that the coach may see that there's areas for improvement. So this policy doesn't replace if you're going for level 1 referee or level 2 referee or starter for the first time. This is just a continuing appraisal or assessment every 1 or 2 years, as I said, and it's mainly for your training and development. Because I know we think we're doing the right thing, and how we walk and how we put our arm out and all that sort of thing, how we say take your marks, we might feel very confident in what we're doing is right, but it's when you get someone look at you, they can pick up little areas that you might need improvement on. So it's all about making you a better starter or referee or official. So we started this off in country and metro last weekend. Obviously we've talked a little bit about the difficulty in having enough assessors around, so it can't happen every session at every meet, but we'll try and get round to all of you. So thank you to those that have already been assessed, and thank you to those that were the assessors. We've already got quite a bit of feedback, as I said, which we'll try and incorporate into the form. But Jerome, I think you assessed in the country. How was it for you?
Yeah, it's quite good. It's very informative for myself, my personal development, so very good.
Yeah.
I learned what I need to improve and what I can work on.
Okay, thank you. So it's not as nerve-wracking as, okay, level 1 or level 2. Ken?
Does the promotion only get provided to the candidate, or is it also going into the TSC?
Both. Yeah. So the candidate, and we've had some good feedback from Dave yesterday, that sometimes, depending if it's the first session, you get assessed, and then all the officials are rushing off to the second session, and